Lord, please come through. I'ma catch hell by the tail. I don't really care who you tell. Well. I don't even care if it's sale. I already paid all the bills.
Here, this is for my boy Grip. Check it out. We're about to do a bald beard fade tutorial. And the reason I'm making this video today, I wanted to make something for my boys upstate. My one boy's locked up. The only way they can watch us is on YouTube. So we wanted to make a video. Here, I'm gonna start making some YouTube videos for y'all, inspire y'all, keep y'all rolling. Grip, this one's for you right here. Yep, so we're gonna start with our base here. We're gonna do a 1.5. Kind of just prep these sideburns with a 1.5 first. And then the reason I like to line up first, especially on beard fades, is so that you can keep that lineup dark. You can find that natural lineup with the darkest the hair that it is. And then you can fade behind that line. When I'm lining beards up, I like to start on these corners, make sure I got my corner and my side right. And I'll come through later to perfect that. Brush this hair over the line, make sure nothing's hanging over. And when I'm doing lineups, I always come through with my razor at the end. So like, you don't really got to get this perfectly crispy. You kind of just want to clean up, get a rough estimate with your clipper of where your lineup's going to be, because that razor at the end is really going to bring it out. We're going to be doing a bald drop fade, so we're going to get that sideburn balded out first, kind of something like this. And then we want to fade the back of this beard in, so we're just going to start like this, kind of using just the corner of this blade, etch away at that, leaving a little bit of hair towards the front of the edge up. You can see I'm just leaving that little bit of hair towards the front of the edge up, working this baldness down, and you can even work this all the way down into here, really just fading out that back lineup and then blending into that beard later. So now that we got this in, you can kind of see where our bald fade line is, and then we want to create our bald fade line around the ear here as well. So when I'm lining up beards, I like to start on one side and come all the way across without really moving and just keeping that same line of sight. If you keep that same line of sight, you can almost naturally line someone up without even really having to check it. You can see that's pretty straight already. I would just come through on this side and connect that and clean this up underneath. I'm just gonna connect this straight across, and then you wanna check this in the mirror when you're done. You always wanna use the mirror. If you don't got a mirror, you can just get good at eyeballing it. That's what I did, because I never had a mirror at first. Now there's two ways you could do this mustache. You could do it like this, which is kind of scary because you can't really see under the blade when I'm doing it. Or you could try to come in like this, which is a little bit easier to get crispy. But for some reason, when I do that technique, I just don't feel comfortable. I just feel I like to kind of just etch away at it like this, getting underneath them follicles. And then I'll come back through and straight razor that inside here. This is another thing. Most people with beards, they don't want this little hair in the corner. So make sure you try to get that in the corner of people's mouths. It's a nice little tip that most people aren't gonna ask for, but they'll appreciate. If you got a beard, you know what I'm talking about. So we got our bald line in right here. What I wanna do is I wanna slightly taper this hair in so that whenever I fade this bald line in, the hair's not real long. It's not gonna make a lot of marks. So we are going to clipper over comb this flat and try to clean up some of this weight on this cheek. This is a no guard clipper over comb, which is equivalent to like a 2 probably if I held it flat. So we're just lightly holding this up off the beard, angling down in, getting any of these long hairs. What we're really doing with this clipper over comb is just prepping that beard area to be faded up in. You can see that hair's a lot lighter now, so now it should be a lot easier to fade that beard in. We're gonna start with a 1 guard open. Just using the corner of this blade, just clearing out a little space with this 1 open. And you can see because we clipper over comb this, there's not much weight flowing in, even with just using the 1. It kind of blends nicely up in. If there was a little bit of weight, like right there, we can just attack that lightly with our 1 clipper over comb, which gets it nice and right. Now we can come through and scrub this with our 1. We want to make sure we're going against the grain. His hair's flowing downwards here. and a little bit sideways there. So we're gonna go sideways here, upwards here. That's against the grain. If you're not cutting against the grain, especially on beards, it's not gonna cut the hair at a true length. It's just gonna have you going over the same spot 50 times trying to figure out why you can't get that mark out. If you can't get it out, it's because you're not going against the grain. So just pay attention. All right, we switch into our 16th. You can see it's almost faded already. So we're just gonna do the same motion, a little bit sideways here, and then curve that clipper up, going against the grain, up into that lineup. And because it's a beard, it's actually easier to fade than hair because the hair follicles are more spread apart, which makes it easier to blend and a lot quicker. So beard fades are a lot easier than regular fades. And what happens first on a beard? What grows in first when you have a beard? The sideburns. So these beard fades are gonna prevent this from growing in as fast. This is gonna give you a longer lasting beard. A lot of people might say, oh, that's stupid, keep all your beard. But when you have dark, thick hair like his, you don't want it to grow in 2 days. You want it to last and feel fresh. And the only way that happens is if you fade that shit. I like to come back through and reline up. So now that the hair is short and I know exactly where it's supposed to be, you can see that's not crispy. See, and reline that up a little bit. It's gonna really make that bottom line up crispy. And if you notice when you're doing beards underneath, you gotta go over it a lot. That's because the hair underneath the beard's real long on the edge up. So if you taper that in, how we tapered this, that's how you get those crispy corners. So we're gonna clip over comb this. See this bulk in this beard here? I'm gonna clip over comb this in, and you can see I'm kind of holding the comb at an angle from short to long, just like the shape of the face. So you can kind of just go like this, bend the comb. It's gonna naturally taper this down in. If you're scared, just pull away a little bit at the end so you don't take too much off at first. But we want to kind of hold it flat to the cheek here. You should be able to just hold this flat with a 1 and get all this nice and smooth, because all we're really doing is prepping for our fade that we're going to put in this beard. We don't want all this weight here if we're going to fade it. Same thing as last time. We're just going to kind of come in like this. And it's kind of scary doing this, but don't be scared. It's easy to fade out. So we're gonna go no guard open. Creating a little space, just like how we bald fade. You can see I gotta use this clipper at a different angle because the hair is growing down this way. I gotta come against it. Kind of makes me sideways. We smooth that in with no guard open. Now we're gonna close it, try to get that original bald line out. Just using the corner of this blade, you got to see we're only using a little bit of space. So this is where you want to use just the corner of the blade, like a little tiny paintbrush and a little tiny canvas. You just want to etch away. If you see a mark, attack it. And then once we get that bald line out, we can just scrub this through with our 1, and that should blend. We're going to do a 1 open. Same technique, just the corner of the blade. Like I said before, this beard's gonna fade easier than the hair because the follicle per square inch is a lot wider, so it's easier to fade the less thick the hair. Well, this beard. Switch to our 16th and get this remaining final line out. And the whole point of this is just to leave this front a little bit darker and to fade out what's going to grow in first, which is this back side of the sideburn. This cut is going to last him an extra week longer than if I didn't fade it. People that be hating on beard fades, you got to understand this beard's going to look way crispier, last longer, grow in more, and make him feel a couple years younger for a week longer. So we're going to come through here, clipper over comb this remaining bit. See these little hairs sticking through? That's going to perfectly blend this in. So you can see as I'm straight razoring this, all of a sudden that lineup really starts to pop, and that beard fade just plays in perfectly behind it with a nice smooth blend. I mean, in my opinion, that's a work of art. Listen, I wanted to make this video for my boy Grip. He got locked up, unfortunately, but up there he became a barber.
he inspired other dudes up there to start cutting hair. And listen, that's what it's all about, man. When you come out, best believe you got a spot with me, and there's hope out here to change the world one cut at a time, baby. Let's get this money.